What's up, you guys? Nico here, and today I am doing my first ever movie commentary video, and I am super excited for it. I've been wanting to do these for a very long time, and I've only just now had the time, motivation, and movies to do so. You already know what movie I'm doing based on the title, but before we jump into all of that, I just want to let you know about my Patreon, where I post full-length versions of all the reactions you see on YouTube, as well as ones you will never see on YouTube. For example, the series Max Reacts, where my partner Max and I watch things Max has never seen before, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and post those for my level 5 and up patrons. And also, there is a tier where you can watch my full-length movie commentaries as well. Let's jump into this reaction now. By jump into it, I mean let's start talking about it, because I want to give my thoughts prior to watching this. Now, I'm calling this a commentary and not a reaction because I have in fact already seen this movie. The movie is Wonder Woman 1984, obviously, which you know from the title of this video, but I have already watched this movie, and watching this movie is what made me decide I wanted to do a commentary on this movie, because it made me very sad how bad it ended up being and how much I did not enjoy it. So the kind of TLDR of this video is that I found this movie to be very boring, very poorly paced, which contributed to the boringness. The CGI wasn't the best, which doesn't help. The plot was very loose and not very well written, in my opinion, and there just wasn't enough Wonder Woman in this 2.5-hour Wonder Woman movie. But that is the main basis of how I felt at the end, in a much calmer tone than I was screaming about it after I finished watching it with Max and then one of our friends. Like I said before, if you want to watch me go through the whole film, go check out my Patreon. Links to that, as well as all my other social media, is in the description below, as per usual. Let me know how you felt about this movie in the comments. This is not a spoiler-free thing. There will be many, many spoilers. I want to state that I haven't read any of the comics, so if there's comic references in here that I miss or that I comment on that it's like, oh, but that was in the comics, just know it's because I haven't read the fucking comics. I think they kind of screwed themselves over with having such a good first film. It is still one of my favorite movies. Like, if you ask me what my favorite movie is, it's gonna be one of the first ones that pop up into my head. It's still one of those I can sit down and watch it and be entertained and enjoy all of it so fucking much, because it's so well done and well structured and well paced and has great visual effects and good acting and everything like that. This movie does not have those things. The pacing is something I'm going to talk about throughout, so I'm not really going to say too much about it here, except for the fact that there's a lot of things they definitely could have cut out this movie and it would not have changed the film at all, outside of just changing how long the fucking movie is. There's a number of scenes in that I just don't feel were entertaining enough to be deemed necessary for being in the film at all. And of course, I'll talk about those in more detail as I watch the film, which we're going to do now. Let's jump into this movie. I'm gonna pause it a lot so that I can talk and not miss stuff. This sequence here with young Diana is one of those scenes that I do not think is at all necessary to be in the film. I don't remember how long it is, but it is so much stuff that is so poorly paced just for one single sentence at the end of the scene where Diana is told truth is important, which, like, we fucking know that shit already. We know. It's possible my experience with this film was tainted a little bit by the fact that I was just watching it in my living room and not in a massive movie theater. I'm sure that could have been a bit more immersive and made some things a bit more exciting or interesting, but the point is, if it's a good movie, it should be fun to watch regardless of where you are. The first Wonder Woman, I could watch it on my fucking cell phone and still enjoy it. So it really shouldn't matter where I'm watching a film, it should still be entertaining. I also don't understand this fucking voiceover. Let me go back and listen to the whole thing real quick again.
Some days my childhood feels so very far away.
What a mood.
Of when the whole world felt like a promise, and the lessons that lay ahead yet unseen.
The lessons that lay ahead?
Looking back, I wish I'd listened.
Listen to what? I'm confused by this opening. Am I just stupid? Let me know if I'm just stupid in the comments. You wish you'd listened to the lessons yet unseen? Am I understanding this correctly?
And the lessons that lay ahead yet unseen.
Yeah, so you've not even gotten to the lessons yet, so what is it you wish you'd listened to? The lessons that haven't happened yet? I know we're only 30 seconds into this movie, but Jesus Christ. It is a gorgeous opening shot, I'll give them that. I'm sure this would look great on a big screen. Now, I know a lot of this is just to have an entertaining opening for the credits to roll over and all that, and it's a build up to what we're gonna get in the sequence where we have the whole, like, games thing going on. And it's cool and all, but doesn't feel necessary. Especially when it holds no merit to the rest of the fucking film.
Greatness is not what you think.
Greatness is not what you think is such a vague statement. And all these random shots of people, like, that was a weird shot there. Like, I know it's her walking out of the frame, but it still felt like a really weird shot because it cuts off so early, and then we have this reaction shot of this chick we don't ever even know the name of. She's not important to the story. And then cutting back to her mom makes some sense, but it just feels like a weird sequence of unnecessary reaction shots. to me. The special effects here are also just really stupid looking. They don't look good at all. Like, it looks fake as hell. Also, I'd like to point out that like 90% of this thing doesn't even take place in the arena. So, how are the spectators watching, you know? And I am gonna nitpick the fuck out of this movie. I really am. Now, I'm sure some of you who have watched this film enjoyed this sequence and found it fun and entertaining. I was kind of enjoying it the first time I watched it, but it just kept going and going. Just for at the end, for her to get told truth is important. That's when I realized how boring and unnecessary the scene is. I don't think we needed to see that. I really don't. I think we should have just stayed with Diana. These other people aren't important to the story. Where was she jumping to? That does not cut at all. Where is the end of this jump? Is it over here? This doesn't match. Like, you could have just made it closer together in post. So this is an example of the VFX just not making sense. Because the horse right here has already reached the peak of its jump and is already descending. There's no way in hell it's going to make it over here unless this horse can fucking fly. I don't understand why this was necessary, why it is here at all, and why it looks like garbage.
That's not fair!
No, it isn't fair. That I had to sit through this whole thing for no reason.
And the courage to face the truth.
I understand later the whole facing the truth thing is kind of how they end up defeating the villain in a way. But we did not need this 11-minute sequence to tell us that truth is important. As an audience, we already know that. We could have just had her explain that in voiceover and skipped over these 10 minutes of unnecessary and boring anticlimactic sequence. Now we have all of our 80s establishing shots and stuff here to establish some of our characters, like Pedro Pascal's character here, Max Lord. And establishing Diana, helping people, stuff like that, which is cool. I think this is a cool sequence here. It does a good job of establishing where we are and how Diana fits into this place.
You deserve to have it all.
The guys all mesmerized by their asses. I found this amusing in their 80s workout clothes. See, they could have used this sequence here as our opening sequence with all of the opening credits and stuff. You easily could have nuzzled them in here. It would have been super simple. And we would have jumped right into the action. We still haven't actually seen Wonder Woman herself. We've seen her foot. We've seen her as a blur. We've not actually seen Gal's face yet, and we are 13 minutes into this movie titled Wonder Woman. Yes, we have Diana as a child, but we didn't see Gal. We didn't see Wonder Woman. We saw Diana as a child. These are different people. I know it's a common trope, but why do cops and stuff like this point their gun at someone in a highly populated area and demand that they freeze if they know you're not going to shoot at them because there's too high of a risk of you hitting an innocent human being? So stop wasting your time by standing there not moving and continue to chase them instead of pulling out your weapon. I know, plot, but still, it's stupid. Then this here, this is such an unnecessary thing. What does he think this is going to accomplish? There's no reason for him to do this. This doesn't help him at all. Like, even the other bad guys are like, stop. Finally, we are 15 minutes into the movie titled Wonder Woman, and we finally actually get to see Wonder Woman. Look at that. Now, if we had cut out the first 10 minutes of the movie, we would have seen her within the first 5 minutes of the movie. Okay, this move right here, that move right there, where she has the lasso tied around one of the people and uses their weight to sort of up against the thing. That happens several times during the sequence. And one thing you don't want to do when making a fight sequence is repeat moves, because it's boring. So that move right there, we will be seeing it several more times. Here we go again with the same exact move.
Lady, I'm sorry, okay?
Like, that was cute with her and the kid, but there was so much extra that we didn't need. She could have easily just come in there, tied them up with something off of one of the stands, and left. It didn't need to take that long. I'll allow this scene because it does actually give us some form of her fighting people, even if it was boring and not super interesting. Also, that would have killed them, or caused massive injury. I like the lighting of this scene. Usually whenever we're in her apartment, at least towards the beginning of the film, it's very dark and gloomy, and we've got all these photos. But I like the coloring of this. The cinematography's nice. And this here, her by herself here, the waiter coming over and asking her if she's waiting on anyone, and her saying no. All this is to establish that she's lonely, and she doesn't feel as if she has very much purpose. Okay, so now we've cut to a different character, which is far more important in this movie than I think she should have been. I feel like she needed her own Wonder Woman film. I very much enjoyed Kristen Wiig in this character. I very much enjoy her and Diana's relationship at the beginning of this film, which I'll talk about more. But At the end of the day, she's one of the characters I feel like they easily could have cut from the film, and it wouldn't have really changed the film at all in terms of the main plot. Something I will commend them on. Casting is always fabulous. Kristen Wiig was a fantastic option for this character. Kristen Wiig is one of those people that can, with just some messy hair and glasses, play the like nerdy type, and then easily can be glammed up in a way to get the more Gal Gadot look. She's perfect at that. I mean, that's half her stick in her SNL days. So I think they did a great job casting her. She is a fantastic actress and does a fantastic job with this character. I just don't feel like this character needed to be in this movie. I also want to put out the only person in this entire film that makes a wish without speaking is Diana. Why? Continuity. Come on. Get your shit together. Everyone else makes their wish out loud. Everyone, and that includes everyone at the end of the movie.
Well, thanks for talking to me. I'm sorry.
Also, the way Kristen plays this character, I get massive she's gay for Gal vibes, which, like, I feel that. That's the mood. Disappointed later in the film when she just decides she wants to be her, when that's not at all the vibes I got off of her throughout the entire first part of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Citrine, who are they kidding? Right?
So lame.
Dorky. Such a long time.
God, it's Wendy.
I
Jesus
don't
Christ.
get out much socially, but
You don't get out?
And now it's not Wendy anymore. Diana talks about how no one has made her laugh like this in quite a while. And while yes, best friends can do that, I just feel like they were setting up these two to have any sort of relationship at all, other than the one that they actually get in the movie. Whether it be a friendship or romantic relationship, it doesn't matter. It felt like they were setting up some sort of very important relationship between these two that does not pay off at all later in the movie. That close-up shot was so ridiculous. Like, why are we this close to her face? Yes, she's like realizing how insecure Barbara is, but that's been blatantly obvious from the first second they met each other. This, to me, still leads into more of they're trying to establish a relationship between these two characters. And even this shot here does that. And we even cut in closer to her as well. And then we're suddenly way back out here again. I like this bit, showing her being a good person. It gives her character. But this whole bit here with this asshole guy, and even what we get later, just is not necessary.
go home. Okay?
Yeah.
Good night.
I personally would have asked her to walk me home, but that's just me. Also, throughout this whole film, Diana loses her powers gradually. To me, and the people that I was watching it with, it appeared as if Barbara's wish is what was causing Diana's powers to go away. As Barbara gets stronger, it appears that Diana gets weaker, so that's a logical jump to make. Later, we learn that wishing takes something from the wisher, and then eventually it's established that it's her wish to have Steve back that actually takes her powers away. But initially, that's what it looks like, and that's what I believed for most of the film. Now, you could blame that on me just being an idiot, but I like to blame it on the fact that the movie doesn't establish that very early in the film. Like, those are the sorts of things you explain to your audience. We didn't need the scene of her waking up in her office. We could have just cut to her walking in looking all sexy and whatnot.
Let me just drop this off in my office and we'll go.
Didn't you just come from your office?
Oh gosh, don't look in there.
Yeah, she just came from her office. It was just an excuse for him to see it and for us to understand that he wants the Rock.
I like him.
I do like Diana's immediate distrust of him, her spidey sense, so to speak. I know these things are supposed to establish the fact that he's out of money, but we can see that based on how empty his office is.
So how are you going to turn it around?
We get all that from him, from this scene here. We didn't need the elevator scene.
Alistair, go wait with Raquel. Simon,
He doesn't leave, he just stands there.
and he will rue the day he walked away from me.
I do like this scene. It establishes our main villain and his motivations and such. And Pedro Pascal does a really good job with his character, I think. I also like that Diana's like the only one in here who's wearing any sort of bright color. Always makes her stand out. Like at the party scene in the first movie, where she's wearing blue and everyone else is wearing like dark colors and shit. I don't understand how he manages to sneak this rock out of here. Like what pocket does he shove that in? Like he grabs it. Where does he store it? It's too big to fit in even your average man pocket. I do like this reveal here. It is nice. We're just not going to talk about the whole her making out with some other human being's body, or, you know, any of the other things that happen, including that body. He's great in this movie and all. I did enjoy him in this film, but he doesn't need to be here. It's been 70 years since he died for Diana. And I know she's an immortal or whatever, so 70 years isn't really a ton for her, but it's still 70 years. Like, move on. For God's sake. Like, It just seems dumb to me that the main plot of this movie is driven by the fact that she's not over Steve yet. Also, we're almost an hour into this 2.5-hour movie and our real conflict hasn't actually started yet. Pacing is way slow and I've been bored most of the front half of this movie. My first time through, I enjoyed the scenes between Kristen and Gal, but on a second watch, they bore the absolute shit out of me.
1984.
Also, why 1984? I'm assuming it's one of the comics, but why this year?
Seems to me to be an engineer. Lots of pictures of himself.
It's extra weird because they even talk about the body that Steve's in. It's not like he got reanimated or entered a dead body. He just took over some random person's body. And it's weird. Also, there's a Rubik's Cube in the background. That's good job.
Just, followed you like a creep.
At least he's aware. Why did he need to clear all the papers away? He could have easily done this on top of the paper. Okay, now I can understand that showing all those papers on his desk could show us that he's been looking for this for a while, but the thing is, we've already seen him doing that with him giving a bunch of money to the museum, tricking Barbara into letting him into her office so he could steal the stone, and then the things that immediately follow this scene where he makes his wish, and everything that comes after it in the rest of the movie shows us that he has been looking for this for a while. So it's a very short shot, but it's just another example of one that I don't see as necessary to the plot.
One great wish? I've been waiting.
I like this. This is funny. It also tells us a lot about Diana. We already know Diana's strong as shit, but seeing Barbara here with this newfound super strength and not knowing how to control it really shows us how much control Diana has over her own powers. She's aware of how much strength she needs to use for every little motion, like opening a refrigerator, opening a door, pushing a normal human being. So I do like this sequence for that. But again, we don't need her character in this movie. And I'm gonna try to stop saying that every time she's on screen, but just keep that in mind. This implies that they had sex with each other while he's in some other human being's body, which is weird and gross. I don't understand why they couldn't just bring Steve back in his own body. It's a magical stone that does magical shit, so why couldn't the stone just magic him up in his own fucking body? Then they could have completely avoided the whole sexual assault / rape of this random person that Steve has taken over the body of. There was no reason for that to be a plot unless they're trying to set up that actual guy, like is at the end of this movie, as some sort of love interest, in which case that's weirder than fuck. But it just feels like they could have done this in a much better way to have avoided big issues with the movie, which it's a lot of people's main complaint about it.
Of course I wish that too. Then your wish is granted. And in return, I'll take all of your shares and full control of Black Gold.
We are almost an hour into this movie and we've only just now gotten to the main plot of the story. Figure out why Steve's back and Max actually starting to grant people's wishes. It's been an hour. It's felt like so much longer. Oh, why am I doing this to myself? I really wanted to like this movie, but on a second watch, it's even more boring than the first time. Because I know what happens, granted, but I can rewatch the first one over and over and over again and not get bored of it. I did like this scene the first time I saw it. I found it entertaining. On a second watch, it was boring as hell. Could have been made a lot more interesting and exciting. I don't feel like they're playing with the 80s music and vibes as much as they could be here to make this scene more interesting.
Looked like you saw a ghost.
I wish I was seeing the inside of my eyelids. I'd rather be taking a nap right now.
The truth is what powers it, not me. The truth is bigger than all of us.
See, that line there, the truth is bigger than all of us, the truth is what powers it, that alone negates the entire opening scene. We don't need that scene. We just had it explained to us there. Alright, we can skip through this a little bit. It's cute. He's all like fascinated by the big planes. And then we get the invisible jet, which is super cool. But I'm gonna skip through it because I'm fucking bored.
How long does it last?
I don't know. It was just a coffee cup. And I lost it.
Poof. On a second watch, this is my favorite scene so far, and I just skipped through it. So if that gives you any indication how boring this film is. And then he flies through fireworks. That is not safe. You're flying through explosives. Oh my god. Like, they had me. Like, it's a gorgeous shot, sure, but it's not safe. Oh god. I'm gonna be skipping through a lot of the back half of this fucking movie. Yeah, her testing her powers, and then she comes across the asshole and kicks his ass. Which is great and all. It was nice to watch an attempted rapist get his ass kicked. That was nice. But it's just to show that she's devolving and not being nice anymore, which, like, okay. This is a really cool shot. The CGI here is decent. It doesn't make sense why a wall would be erected, but alright. This isn't fucking China. I don't know why there's just a wall now, but... Like, I know it's because he wished to, like, have his people or whatever, but the wall isn't necessary. I'm sorry, guys. I can't. I'm sorry. I'll stop and watch for the actual important bits, but there's just so little that happens. Like, all these bits here are important to the scene, but it's boring and repetitive and annoying for the most part. I've already been at this for, like, 2 hours, so... So we have our theme here. So what we expect when we hear the theme based on the first film is some kick-ass. What do we get? Why aren't they shooting at the windows? Why wouldn't they shoot at the windshield? That car doesn't have bulletproof... Like, that looks so bad. Also, this is the first time since that first scene with her in the mall that we've seen her kick anyone's ass. It has been an entire hour. And I understand the importance of the scene is to actually show that she's losing her powers. Because this is the first indication we get that she's weaker, really. Like, the first real, obvious indication. She's in a fight and she gets injured, first of all, which is not a thing that normally happens. That she's physically weaker, that she's not as strong as she used to be, which is what physically weaker means. This movie is melting my brain, clearly. This scene does serve some importance, but it's just not an interesting battle scene. Because we finally get into actual fight scenes and she's losing her powers, so we don't get to see Wonder Woman be badass Wonder Woman. Ugh, so annoying. I'd also like to point out that her theme is actually an orchestral cover or version instead of the electric cello version that we got in the first movie, which I feel like also takes away from the badassery of this scene, because one of the things that made a lot of the fight scenes really epic and really awesome was that super gritty electric cello theme in the background. No airbags in this vehicle? Are airbags not a thing yet? Actually, yes, they were invented by this time, but they weren't required in all cars in the UK until 1991, which obviously is after 1984. So it's probably safe to assume that they weren't required in Egypt until then either, or at least later than that. I tried to figure out when they were required in Egypt, but I couldn't find any definitive answer to that. Maybe I just didn't search hard enough. It's very possible. But yeah, it could be actually accurate. So good on them if so. This is a cool shot. I'll give them that. We didn't even get to see him kick that guy's ass and throw him out of the vehicle. I would have preferred that. That would have been cool. Like, this was a cool idea. So while this might be a good idea in terms of battle strategy, and it's got this great build-up with the score and everything, it's great and all, and the shot looks cool, but then we have this anticlimactic moment where she loses her grip on the rope and falls to the ground and nearly gets herself and the children killed. Which, like, I know the point is to show she's not as strong as she used to be, but anticlimactic fight scenes is this movie's #1 trait. So it's just another thing to complain about. And I saw a lot of comments and tweets and stuff about how we went from the God of War as our main villain to a wishing stone.
Wishes with a trick. The monkey's paw.
See, this is... We don't get an explanation that there's a cost for the wish until an hour and a half into this 2.5-hour movie. Since Barbara has been getting stronger and Diana's been getting weaker, it would make sense for one to think that Barbara's wish is taking Diana's powers away from her and giving them to her. But now we're an hour and a half into the movie, and now we have to change that. How did this movie end up being so bad? Like, I'm sure there's people out there who really enjoyed it, but I was so bored the whole time. And I didn't want to be bored. I wanted to enjoy it. I really did. I didn't go in expecting better than the first movie. I went in expecting at least the bare minimum that was the first movie. Like, I expected them to at least meet the standard they set for themselves. But they didn't even come close.
Alistair, again? How many weekends do I have?
His eyes are bleeding in this, which I think is a nice touch to show how much he's straining himself. I'm trying to say nice things. I'm really trying.
It's huge.
Oh yeah, this armor that was hyped up in the fucking trailers doesn't do shit.
But someone had to stay behind to hold back the tide of men so the others could escape to Themyscira.
Cool scene.
People gave up all of their
I'll give them that. That was a gorgeous scene.
Strong enough to take on the whole world.
Armor that could fight off the whole world. Keep that in mind. This is a nice rope. I like Steve actually being helpful. That's nice to see. This entire sequence here is probably one of the most entertaining parts of the whole film. But for some reason, even though she is losing her powers, she still can't beat these normal human men. Why? This is a cool shot right here. Ooh, the surround sound on her theme's nice. This is my final editing pass through this video, and I just wanted to pop in here and add that every single time I have come across Barbara's theme in this specific area, every single hair on my body has stood on end because it is just so good. And I don't know if it's because it's technically Cheetah's theme or what, but it's definitely not used enough in this film. It just hits so strongly, kind of like in the first Wonder Woman when we first hear that electric cello theme. That feeling, it just sends through your body that I don't even know how to describe it. It gives me the same chills every time I hear this Cheetah/Barbara theme, and I just wanted to mention that because I actually really like it, and there's not been a lot that I've said I've liked throughout this video, so yeah. You could just wish for him to renounce his wish, and the movie would be over. It would save us so much trouble and boredom.
Well, now it's my turn, and you are not taking it from me. Ever.
This is also a boring storyline. The poor nerdy girl gets the ability to be super powered and then turns evil. It's so cliche. And it could have been so much more entertaining if she had her powers. And I know we get that fight later, but it's not well done at all. And everyone was like, oh, this scene's so cute. Like, yeah, we've done this before. She couldn't say goodbye last time either. She did it. Ugh. I like seeing that she immediately heals up, but it just it wasn't as impactful of a scene as they were meaning for it to be, at least not to me. Also, she suddenly learns how to fly here. In the comic, she apparently learns how to glide in like a way, like a leap tall buildings in a single bound type thing, but not fly. Not like this. Even this scene wasn't that exciting, and I was so looking forward to watching her swing on fucking lightning, but it's not even necessary because she can fly now.
In your prowess.
What thing does he give to her that makes her a fucking cat? Is it the prowess? I don't understand. Giving us flashbacks to cats, for fuck's sake. It's kind of disrespectful, honestly. Oh yeah, the armor. Remember the armor that could take on the world? Remember that? Could defend against all of man. You remember that? You remember that line? Keep that in mind while we watch this very poorly done fight scene. Well, it's good until fucking Cheetah comes in. And by good, I mean very short. We got the theme for 2 seconds. And they did all this at night, making it easier to do the VFX, and it still looks like garbage. I don't know what Cheetah's storyline is in the comics. I don't know if it's related to the Dreamstone or not, but even if it is, I feel like they could have given her her own movie, because she could have been a really good adversary. Okay, yeah, okay. So you know the armor that all of the women gave up so that they could have an armor that could fight against the world? You know that? You know that armor? Watch this. And I know she has like Diana's strength and stuff, but like they hyped this armor up so much just for this bitch to tear it to shreds, and it doesn't make her seem any scarier. It just makes the armor seem like a bunch of bullshit. Like, she looks good. I'll give them that. She looks really good. But outside of that, this fight is so boring. Even that moment that's supposed to be all big with the big crescendo and the music, it's boring. Nothing interesting happened. She just throws off the wings that this bitch just tore to shreds. This shit bothers the fucking shit out of me. This happens so many times in this fight. Come on, Diana, you defeated Ares. You can't defeat the cat version of yourself? Come on. See, she swings on these things so much. And it's not even entertaining like when Diana uses the lasso of truth. This is just so boring. Like, it's meant to be epic, but it's just not. It doesn't work. And then she electrocutes her here somehow, but Diana doesn't get electrocuted? How does that work? She's underwater too. But she's not dead. So it looks like a fucking cat, though. And then here, she can't even defeat him. So the lasso can't get through this breeze that for some reason is here. And even though she's back at full power, she can't get to him. She throws the lasso at him, and it can't wrap around him. This big climactic moment. Then we get all quiet. And somehow the lasso's wrapped around him. You couldn't get it there before. How is it suddenly there now?
I was talking to everyone else.
And she somehow convinces everyone to renounce their wish with the truth lasso thing. Anticlimactic as fuck. He was on a highway 2 seconds ago, by the way. Alistair was. And he just walks out of a fucking bush. And they end on this shot here as if the child below that just let it go isn't crying their eyes out. It's finally over. Thank God. Okay, the best part of the movie, the after credits scene.
But I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, you have, Queen. Yeah, you have. In case you didn't know, which I didn't know until I was editing this, Lynda Carter's character is actually that character Diana tells Steve about, the one who wore the golden armor. I didn't make the connection until I was literally editing this video because she doesn't actually say her name in the movie. It just says Lynda Carter as Asteria, which I just thought was an interesting little tidbit that I wish they'd pushed out there a little bit more because that's extra cool. But whatever. Thought I'd throw that in there for you in case you didn't already know. Lynda Carter, my queen, who I only know was the original Wonder Woman because of Supergirl, because she showed up as the president, but that was the most exciting part of the movie, in my opinion.
You sounded very angry, so
It was somehow worse the second time through.
I'm sorry.
I think the only thing that kept me in any way interested the first time around was the fact that I didn't know what happened.
Right. Yeah.
And this time knowing what happened, and that it doesn't satisfy anything ever at all. Yeah. Okay, so let me know how you felt about the movie in the comments down below. This film was a very, very big letdown for me. And I think it was for a lot of other people too. My main gripe with it is it's just boring. And I wish I had more description than that with my conclusion here, but you just witnessed me torture myself for the past 2.5 hours. So I'm tired and I don't have much else to say. Yeah, this has been Wonder Woman 1984. Next time, just give us a World War II movie, please. Please. That would have been so much more entertaining. We could have seen her punch Hitler in the face. That sounds so much more entertaining. Watching people beat up Nazis is like the most entertaining thing. They could have called it WWWW2. It doesn't have the same ring to it as Wonder Woman 84, but... Or they could just made it WW2 and then that could have been Wonder Woman 2 and World War II. It would have worked both ways. And I know we wouldn't have the whole like, oh, who's the bad guy? Like, you know, like Ares is the bad guy, like in the first movie. But like you could have found something. I'm sure there's a comic about her in World War II. I'm sure there is, and I don't know why this is the one you decided to make this movie based off of, and how you managed to make it so incredibly boring. But I'm honestly kind of impressed. In a Wonder Woman film where Wonder Woman is barely in it, I feel like the reason it feels like she's not in it as much is A, she's not in it as much, but also because most of the time she's in it, she's weakened, or she's not fighting people, she's not kicking ass, which was like one of the best parts of the first movie, is watching her kick ass. Why would you take out the best part? Plus the theme was barely in the movie, and when it was in the movie it was in there for like 2 seconds and then it stopped because the epicness stopped, and it's just like, how did you all do so badly with this? Like, I wanted to like this movie so much. You could take that and be like, oh, well, you just had really high standards. No, I really didn't. I had the minimum standard of just, hey, do decently in comparison to the first one. Because I didn't need them to exceed the greatness of the first film, because it's hard for a sequel to be better than the original. It just is. But they didn't even get close to meeting the first one in terms of entertainment value and in terms of quality. Oh, God, I can't. I just need to stop and go do something else. I wish I had something extra constructive to say here, but I feel like I've said everything I can say. This has been Wonder Woman 1984, and if you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more if you want to. Like I mentioned at the beginning, go check out my Patreon. You can watch this thing in full with me if you'd like, as well as other full-length versions of things. Go check that out if you're interested. Also, all my other social media links are in the description below. If you want to follow me somewhere, check me out. I'm on fucking everywhere. Feel free to go check out one of my other videos, too. I've got lots of, YouTube stuff. My brain is so fried. I can't even make sentences anymore. Max, I need help. I've got lots of YouTube stuff. I was trying to say reaction videos, but I couldn't find the words. As I was trying to say, there's lots of other footage and shit on my channel you can check out. There's plenty of other videos, and depending on when you're watching this, there could be a lot more variety in the videos. There's lots of show reactions and stuff that you can check out as well. And if you're not interested in watching show reactions and just want to see more movie reactions, let me know in the comments what you think about my movie reaction. Is it decent? Is it boring? How can I do better? I'm not looking for movie recommendations at the moment, so don't leave any of those. Okay, so I have been Nico, this has been Wonder Woman 1984, and it's made me want to die. So, until next time, you do you. Bye. That rhymed, and I didn't even mean for it to. I'm in distress, okay? I'm in distress, and when I'm in distress, my voice cracks, okay?
It mostly cracked at the end there.
Yes, because I'm in distress. And I'm sweaty because I'm in distress.
Yeah. I'm starving. Also.